So just a little bit about me here. I'll go ahead and flip to the next slide. I've been in manufacturing for over 16 years in operations, done consulting, and then I've also been in the fire. So I understand a lot of the challenges within manufacturing. Things don't always go according to plan. Done a lot of stuff with leadership and lean transformation. So I'm a nerd. I love to improve things. I have a bachelor's and a master's in industrial engineering from Montana State University. I'm actually from Montana. I'm a transplant. My wife's from the area, so I just moved here last year. It's just been over a year that I've been with NWIRC, and I just love to empower people and to improve things. So today, what we're going to talk about, let the next slide come up here. There's a little bit of a delay. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today. I wanted to highlight a few different things that are cooking right now in the operational excellence world here in Northwestern Pennsylvania. We have a manufacturing excellence program with a SME Lean Bronze certificate. Also want to talk to you about Gemba Training, automation assistance that we have available that I've been working with a couple clients recently, some grant funding opportunities, and then some different lean training opportunities we have available as well. So a little bit about manufacturing excellence. If you're not aware, there's a Lean Bronze certificate program through Society of Manufacturing Engineers, which stands for the SME acronym that we have. And what we've done by popular demand, I've taught this class in Montana as well, done several cohorts over there. We just finished one in the fall of 2024, and we had a 100% pass rate. There was one person that had to retake it, but that was just a little bit of nerves with the exam. So it's been a great program. It's 6 weeks long, and it's half-day sessions for each one of those times that you do for 4 hours. And then at the very end, we'll do an exam preparation time. As you can see, our next one that we have is going to be in North Central Pennsylvania in Du Bois. We'll also look at doing something again, probably in the Meadville area in the fall of 2025. So 6 weeks for a half day each week. There's a pretty good amount of reading. If you see in the bottom of this slide here, there's 4 books. There's Gemba Kaizen, Lean Production Simplified, and The Toyota Way. So it's actually 3 books, but we have another one that's optional as well. But those are really powerful books. I've used them myself, so I'm not trying to expect somebody to do something I'm not willing to do. It's very good for practitioners that want to make it continuous improvements. There's all kinds of different topics that we go through, and it's a body of knowledge that's common to the industry that several people went and made this of an official program, because a lot of people will get Lean certificate online. You don't know what you're getting. So that's why the Society of Manufacturing Engineers developed this program to make sure that we have some core competencies that people are getting. Why would you care to send somebody to this? The main reason is a lot of people are talking about trying to engage their employees, trying to get other people on board with continuous improvement. I know when I've been in operations, we even tried to get people as a part of their job descriptions to say, hey, do 2 to 3 continuous improvements per year. And it's a challenge just to get people out of the fire, just of producing and to improve. So this is a great way to empower people that are really hungry to learn and wanting to apply some of those things to their work environment to make it better. So it's a great way to empower them. Bolsters also your reputation. I know this is a buzzword, employer of choice, but this is a great way to actually put feet to what we talk about in terms of being an employer of choice. How do you equip people to get practices for manufacturing excellence? How do you help them understand what that looks like? It's not just a buzzword. There are some things that we can practically do. So it's a really good opportunity for the students that take this class. They can have a huge return on investment for this class. Typically, as I've been doing continuous improvement over several years, we usually see at least $10,000 of savings per project. If you significantly improve, that's a pretty low bar. So if you figure 3 portfolio projects for if you want to continue with this SME Lean Bronze certificate to be completely certified, you need to do 3 portfolio projects. So that's an approximate savings of 30 grand at least, just by going through fully on this program. So it's a great opportunity for people to continue to grow and apply those learnings. So the investment is $33.95, and that includes all the books and all the training and also the exam review. So any questions about that program? Okay. Go on to the next slide here. So we're going to talk a little bit about Gemba training. Again, some of these words, they're Japanese. So Gemba is a Japanese word, and it actually means where the action is. It's where the work happens. And this has become quite the buzzword lately as well. So there's a lot of practical application to this, though. I've had a lot of fun with a lot of different manufacturers working on these kinds of things. How many of you have an issue with communication challenges? It seems like there's always this thing, especially between office and the manufacturing folks on the floor. So how do you get people to work together to understand each other, the challenges that are on both sides of that? Gemba Walks can definitely be a huge tool to improve that. There's also a big misunderstanding sometimes between team members of what do I really need to focus on. So improving, we have to track metrics to figure out how are we doing right now so we can actually know if we've improved or not. So developing those metrics and some of the best practices for another way of calling it is SQDC, which stands for safety, quality, delivery, and cost. So there's some metric boards that you can develop as a part of this. Provide a visual status of how things are. So when you go out on the floor, is it visually obvious what's going on? Is it easy to determine if there's a problem or if they need some help, if they're ahead or behind? It's kind of like going to a football game and you don't have anyone keeping score. It's kind of hard for people to know if they're winning or losing. So making things visual, Gemba has a huge part to play in some of those things. It also helps facilitate some of those interactions with people in stand-up meetings and managers walking on the production floor. The last thing we want this to be is just a management walking around to check the box. But if they actually have valuable, true, authentic conversation to see what the challenges are and how they can help be a part of the solution, that works very well. I've seen when leadership gets committed, they get management, supervisors, and other people in the office down on the floor and understanding some of the challenges, it really works well. So some of the topics that we cover in this training, this can be a public or a private offering. There's a workshop that we have. I'll tell you about some of the opportunities of a workshop that we have coming up a little bit later this year. But we'll talk about some Gemba principles. What does it look like to do a good walk? Some of the fundamentals there. What are some practical techniques that you can use to be effective? Actually do some practice on it, especially if it's a private engagement. We'll go out and actually do some Gemba walks and discuss what we're noticing and what kind of things to pay attention to. How do you follow up with people? Once you go on a walk, what's the next step? How do you follow up and make sure you're not just talking about things, that we're doing things as well? How do we get leadership involved? What's the expectations of leadership? And this buzzword culture, how do we improve the culture? How do we actually make that work to where people feel valuable and they understand that now people care about what they're doing and how to make that a better process for them? What metrics are typically being monitored and what makes sense for your organization to customize that? And then how are we going to measure that? What are we measuring and why are we measuring it? How are we going to maintain that? So those are some details on the Gemba training. Anyone have any questions on Gemba training? Okay. Next one, just to give you an idea, I had a success story here from Dice Industries. We had two sister organizations that went through an on-site training, which is Bucks Fabrication and Switch and Go, which are located in Hadley and Sagertown here in Pennsylvania. They had retained sales of 45 million due to this project. 138 jobs were retained. If they wouldn't have done this, they were having a lot of turnover. By engaging the employees, that significantly helped them retain jobs, and quite the hefty cost savings just by doing some Gemba training and applying it. So some quotes that people had after going through it. There was some skepticism initially when you get started. They're like, "Who is this? Who is this Shane guy? What's he all about?" I was voluntold to be a part of this, right? A lot of times you don't have an option to go to the training, but there was some good feedback. Here's one quote. It says, "Having supervisors walk the floor together provides everyone a bigger overall picture and improves the communication." That was somebody that actually was in there as a supervisor giving that feedback. There was also multiple operators that expressed that doing these Gemba boards and these meetings, displaying their goals and the actuals for your safety, quality, delivery, and costs, it was a helpful communication tool for them during their stand-up meetings with these Gemba boards to communicate and resolve issues. And it kind of highlighted things that they needed follow-up on. If there was something that hadn't been resolved in 3 weeks or 3 months, that's an opportunity to revisit those things to be able to get some traction. So that's kind of a cool story. If you have any other questions about that, I'd certainly like to talk to you about it. Next on the agenda here is to talk a little bit about automation. Automation has been definitely a big part of what people are trying to do to become more competitive. The big thing that people are experiencing right now is labor shortages. A lot of people are having staffing challenges, and one recent client actually just had somebody say that if the tariffs go into effect with the new administration, there could be significant impact in terms of how much business they have. In a positive sense, they may have to take on more business because the tariffs would force some of the work, instead of the manufacturing being in China or in Canada, they would now do that here in the United States, here in Pennsylvania. So they are already short-staffed, and they're saying automation will have to be a part of the solution. So there is a topic that we need to consider as what's the risk of doing nothing? If you do not automate, are we foregoing opportunities to do new business, for example? So those are some practical things that I'm seeing out in the field. There is a free assessment. We make it here.org/SmartPA. And what you can do is you go to that website, you can schedule a time for a 2-hour on-site automation assessment, and then there is a free online assessment to kind of get an idea on where you're at in your journey. Some people are brand new at this, other people have been doing it for a while. So it's a very helpful tool to kind of see how committed is your leadership team, what areas of smart manufacturing technology are you interested in. Some of the things that I've been doing with a couple clients recently is helping manufacturers to do their homework, especially if you're using an outside party, such as a third-party manufacturing, like an automation integrator, for example. A lot of people, there was a stat that recently came out like last year, and they said 48% of manufacturers that implemented automation had buyer's remorse, and pretty significant issue. Almost half the people are disappointed with the results. And why I'm wanting to help manufacturers is I think a lot of times this bullet here, it says define the problem to be solved. We immediately just think, hey, I need to get a collaborative robot, or I need to get the next whiz bang thing that I'm hearing from my friends that I need to get, and you don't even know why you need it. So helping us understand what problem we're trying to solve, how is this going to improve us? Is automation or technology the appropriate solution? So what I've been doing is I'm advising automation solutions to implement, figuring out opportunities, and then vetting automation integrators. We have a lot of different network opportunities through our national network that I've been very blessed to have, to be able to find different integrators and figuring out which integrators have the best capability for the particular application. Not all integrators are created equal. There are certain people that have expertise in certain areas. So I help ask the challenging questions, rather than a lot of times we'll have a salesperson that helps people find a solution that they didn't really need, that doesn't really apply to what they're really looking at. So trying to figure out a way to focus on solutions that are going to be helpful for the particular things. So rather than getting sold a bill of goods, we are asking challenging questions to figure out what's going to work best for their situation. So I can perform automation analysis on doing a value stream map to see what your current state is and If you then implemented automation, we could say, well, what would the future state look like? What would it look like if we started implementing automation or technology in this process? Maybe it's not even a physical process. Maybe it's some of your digital processes in the office or between the office and the floor. There's all kinds of different ways of doing smart manufacturing, which I'm not going to get to in this presentation, but there's a lot of things that we will be rolling out in terms of training here in the coming months as well. Automation ROI. So does it make sense? Is there a return on investment? The example that I shared earlier, if you are expecting a capacity, your capacity is already taxed out. Are you going to add capacity in terms of maybe having more business come in through implementation of automation? Is there an ability to reduce scrap rate? Is there an ability to reduce problems with safety in terms of ergonomics or heavier lift applications? So there's all kinds of different opportunities within automation. So if you want to get started on automation, please reach out to me or go to this website, fill out the questionnaire, and then we can start to have a more detailed conversation to see what the next steps would be. Any questions about automation? Okay. Next thing I wanted to bring awareness is some of the grant funding opportunities that we are currently helping with here at NWIRC. There is 4 different grants that I wanted to focus on. The top 2 are more related to what we are directly providing here at NWIRC, that we host some of these grants. So the first one is the ARC Arise Clean Energy Grant. So this is specifically focused on clean energy. So it's access energy with reduced environmental impact. We're really looking at trying to reduce energy consumption, improve operational efficiency in some of our facilities. So some examples: solar panels. Another example is smart manufacturing on the manufacturing floor. Then we also have some opportunities if you're wanting to reduce some of the waste of energy going with you have a cold day and you can actually have a curtain there to where you can improve how much wasted heat that we have going out the door. Then we could also look at how we can interconnect and reduce energy consumption within our factories. So here's some specific segments. So you might be on one side that would be on the right-hand side is product related. So you're wanting to go after the industry. You're saying, hey, we're really focused on trying to do things within electric vehicles, or we are servicing low carbon products. So there might be a specific market that you're going after. So that's one thing. And the other side on the left-hand side is really internally. Is there ways that we can reduce energy in terms of using solar power or using less natural gas or reducing our electrical usage, all kinds of even efficiency improvements. So there's 2 sides of the coin that are applicable for this grant. So what it looks like, we have a mini grant available. Manufacturing companies can apply for a mini grant of up to $10,000. This is a reimbursement grant of up to 50% of the total costs. Just to be clear on that, it does not include anything that is equipment related. That would be more for consulting or engineering, which could be my assistance or even some outside third party to help with consulting on energy improvements. You can get pretty creative on some of the ways. It's not just physical energy. It could also be energy savings in terms of improved reducing manpower requirements as well. So if you have questions about that, please call me. There's also a free energy assessment. If you go to cleanenergy.mfgsupplychain.org, there's a free energy assessment there. And then again, if we make it here.org/clean energy, there's an ability to do an assessment there as well. So get a hold of your strategic business advisor. If you don't know who that is, definitely get a hold of me or somebody here at NWIRC. We can help you out based on where you're located. Next grant I want to talk to you is the Department of Energy has a Smart PA grant, and that is really dealing with smart manufacturing technologies and trying to provide opportunities to support that. So it's a mini grant that's a $5,000 match, up to 50% of the technology implementation costs. Again, hardware is excluded from that, so it'd be more for engineering. So if you use like a third-party integrator, you could have them separate out the physical equipment versus something that was consulted or engineering design, or my time, for example, to help vet out some of that. That's some of the costs that would be eligible for this type of grant. So how you get started, again, go to wemakeithere.org/smart-PA. Schedule a no obligation discovery session with me, and then you can take the Smart PA assessment online there. It takes about 7 minutes. It's a real short survey and helps us kind of get an idea of what you're interested in. And again, just get a hold of your strategic business advisor if you have any more questions on that as well. Next one is another grant is the USDA has a REAP grant, REAP. And this is applicable for people that are in certain rural counties. There's two different aspects to this grant. It's up to 50% of your eligible project costs. So the first side on the left is renewable energy systems. Minimum grant request of $2,500 up to $1 million. A lot of people see the money and they're like, wow, that's amazing. Not telling you not to get excited about that, but this is a heavier lift. There's a lot of paperwork involved in this. On the right side, you'll see there's energy efficiency improvements. Minimum grant request for that is $1,500 and up to $500,000 for the grant request on there. So a little bit more about this. Got to make sure that you check to see if you're in an eligible area. Use the map on the USDA website. I will share out these slides, by the way, so that you can have them in a PDF as well. Then there's also USDA application. You got to make sure that you fill out the application before you start to initiate the project. You cannot go back retroactive. This does take some time to complete, so if you have a short fuse, this may not be the best grant to consider. There is a score sheet. So the highest score projects, they evaluate each quarter, and they will just select people based on the highest scoring projects for each quarter that they evaluate. Covers the cost of equipment upgrades. That's the one benefit of this grant. A lot of other grants do not cover equipment. So you just must justify clear-cut energy savings with this. So keep in mind, if you're upgrading to a new piece of equipment, is there reduction in electric usage, or maybe you're reducing how much of your consumables that you're using, something like that. So you can justify using this grant opportunity. It's a heavy lift, as I said before, to complete the application process. We do have some resources. PenTap is a great resource for energy assessments. They help you with determining cost savings and payback, using and how to use that score sheet that they have for the USDA. And then PA Fuller Center is a great resource. If you have a specific solar panel application, they're another resource that we recommend contacting. Any questions about the grants? All right, so next on our list here is some lean training opportunities that are going to be coming up here. Wanted to just touch on a couple things here. Essentials of lean. This is a really cool interactive workshop. This is typically done in about 6 hours. This includes a Lego simulation. There's 2 to 3 rounds depending on how involved we want to get on that, but it helps demonstrate some of the principles of the 8 wastes, visual controls, and how to reduce batch sizes and the impact on throughput. There's all kinds of cool productivity improvements that people get to see hands-on after learning the content. Then they get to apply it by actually working in like a simulated factory, building airplanes using Legos. So it's a great way to kind of drive home the concept. So I like doing this also even on site, so we can do any of these public or private. So if you want to have your whole team have us come on site, it's a great team building experience, and then it helps get everyone on the same page. A lot of times you'll say, hey, I went to this NWIRC lean training, and everyone's like, well, I don't care, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's helpful to bring several team members on at the same time to do this. I know I did that oftentimes. I would have people come from the outside and give this lean training because it really helped me out to drive home some of these concepts. If they get it, even if they didn't hear it from me, I was happy. So 5S and 8 Waste is another workshop that we have. There's a lot of interactive activities as well on some of that to help people drive home some of the basics. If you have heard of the House of Lean, 5S and 8 Waste is the foundation of your house. If you don't do the basics well, we cannot continually improve. So those are really important concepts. We're getting a lot of traction with people interested in that specific workshop. We've had some really good training programs with different people from organizations on that specific training as well. And recently we've had a couple organizations asking about value stream mapping, and that's really a hands-on opportunity, specifically if you wanted it in-house. Gives people a hands-on opportunity how to map out their processes, identify opportunities to reduce waste by looking at the whole value stream. So when you receive an order to when you ship it out the door, recognizing different wastes and how to reduce those, how to continually improve. So we've had a lot of good traction with a couple different organizations that have recently went through that exercise. Anyone have any questions on lean training specifically? Is there anything that on here that you have not seen that you would like to see in terms of some of the trainings from an operational excellence specialist perspective? Okay. Last thing I wanted to leave you guys with is some of the next upcoming events that we have. We have a Gemba workshop coming up in Corey. That's starting here in mid-February, just a couple weeks away. Great opportunity to get a flavor for what Gemba walks could be like, and we could go a deeper dive if you wanted to follow up, but it might be a good way to expose some people to. I had organizations say, hey, we kind of fell on our face when we tried to do Gemba walks on our own. Could you help coach us? And it was a great opportunity for us to be able to do that. Automation Happy Hour. This one is coming up in Kane in North Central Pennsylvania in a couple weeks on the 13th. It'll be in the evening from 4 to 6 p.m. Essentials of Lean, that's basically that 6-hour class that we have starting up the end of February in Erie. That's a great opportunity with the simulation. Root cause analysis, this is a helpful problem-solving tool, especially people that are having quality issues, trying to get your team to be a team of problem solvers. Great interactions there. We just recently had one on site for a company and they really enjoyed it. It's really helpful for them. That one's coming up in beginning of March in Bradford. Basics of Lean, we have another one of those. It's essentially the same as Essentials of Lean. That one's happening in Warren in March. Our DIFM conference, if you've not heard about that, we have a lot of that going out on social media right now. That's coming up the end of March. It's a great networking opportunity. There's going to be an amazing simulation on helping people to understand impacts on your business based on certain things going on. There'd be several different breakout sessions. So I highly recommend to any manufacturer to try and get you and several team members to come out to that conference. That's going to be a great time to collaborate with other manufacturers as well. Manufacturing Excellence, that program that I talked about earlier, is going to be starting in April in Du Bois. We'll then start talking about clean energy, the grant. We're going to have a luncheon the next day, May 22nd in Du Bois. And then we also have another root cause analysis and plan, do, check, act workshop coming up at the end of May. And then the next thing that I got cooking is Six Sigma training. I'm actually getting certified in that here over the next few months. So stay tuned, might be late summer or in the fall sometime. By popular demand, some of our manufacturers are wanting to equip their team on those topics. So is there any questions that anyone has here regarding what I just talked about? Is there anything specifically that Accutech is looking for that I didn't mention today?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've talked about, I'm pretty vocal. So, we've talked about the lean, and the Six Sigma a couple different times. I know we do, we have a version of the interactive Lego on lean. I'm not sure how it compares to what you're doing. Ours only takes about 1.5 to 2 hours. So I kind of would like to talk to Madison about getting with you, see what the differences are, see if there's anything we need to adapt with that. So Madison is the one who delivers that information.
Yeah, she was in our class. She actually mentioned about that, and she went through, and we did that Lego simulation in the beginning of the manufacturing excellence class she went through. So she would definitely know the differences, and if she wants to have us help her with doing something on site there, if we can help however she feels like that would be helpful. If going through that, I think she had some, I could see her wheels were turning when she was going through that. So
oh, I bet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, the big thing is, is as we're looking at the Six Sigma, that's one of the ones that we're looking to try to, but you and I've talked about that. So,
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, Shane, actually Madison's gonna be at our strategic planning breakfast tomorrow too.
Oh, that's
yes, she
great.
is.
Yeah, that's great. So we're very happy to have her.
Yeah, Madison's very sharp. It was great to have her in class, and then also to have Nick from your from Luke's party there on the floor as well. So it was really cool to do something with you guys recently with Lean Together. That was a fun event that we had with you guys on 8 Waste Walk. I don't know if you heard about that, Tina, that we
Yes.
were down on the floor, and there was some really cool ideas that we got from our manufacturing excellence team that was able to join us as well. That
Great.
kind of saw things differently. So that was kind of a fun collaboration.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we especially the first time around, as you guys know, I don't know who else is on the call, so they probably get tired of listening to me, but we like to send a couple people that we know. When we send folks, we like to know that they're going to bring it back, right? And share it and help us to implement it and move the organization forward. So Madison and Nick, I felt were really good choices for us as we look at, we'll probably do that course again. In fact, I'm quite sure. I'm not sure if we'll take advantage of the one in Du Bois, but
Sure,
it
yeah,
comes
do something a
closer
little
again.
closer. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's that's one of the pet peeves that I had a lot of times about training is if you do it and then there's no application, it's just a waste of everyone's time, right? So I tried to find ways to where even if it's a half day class and then revisit in a week or two to actually do something hands-on. So for example, like for 5S and 8 wastes, rather than just talking about it, let's go actually do a 5S audit. Let's go and do a waste walk together and help them kind of connect the dots. How do
Right.
we do a Gemba walk? Like I know that you guys have Gemba boards there at Accutech, and
And we
could
do
they do them
walks.
more effective? Do you get feedback from people on the operators that you're like, yeah, we don't even look at that thing, like, well, what do we need to do better? Why is it
Right.
not working? So
Absolutely.
cool. Tara, did you have any thoughts or questions?
No, that I found this very interesting, Shane. I just wanted to make sure I understand all the wonderful things you're doing. It was fantastic.
Thanks,
I'm glad
Tara.
that Tina was on. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Well, keep me posted here if anyone has any questions. If you're watching this later on a link that you just clicked on, please reach out to me. I'd love to find out what your challenges are and how I can come alongside. So, thank you for your time today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Shane.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Same.